Hello, Chain Gang. Welcome back to the Four Chains Travel and the day trip from Puglia Battle of the Ages. Locorotondo versus what you see here, Alberobello. This seems like what we would call in wrestling a squash match. Alberobello is the home of the Trullis. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site that people flock to all over the world. And this is Locorotondo, which you probably have not even heard of. And you're thinking about fast forwarding through the Locorotondo parts, but now that you've seen this footage, maybe you have second thoughts. First of all, let's go over the parking. I clandestine filmed this parking spot. This is where the free parking is, and it's not actually really far away because the paid parking is the same distance from stuff that this is. I'm showing you it so you know where to go. That's Locorotondo. You do have to go upstairs, but it is at elevation as you saw in the earlier videos, and so stairs are going to be part of the journey no matter what. These are the stairs, and it's not only a minor workout, but it's also very picturesque, as you can see. You are not done when you get to this corner. You then have to go up that, but that's okay, because you get this kind of view of the top. And yes, it's not Alberobello, it's Locorotondo, and they do have Trullis. And not only that, but they have a great place to eat. So if you're going to Alberobello, why would you stop in Locorotondo just to get a meal and to cost yourself more time? Well, the reason is pretty clear, because of the view. What you are looking at now is a view of the road where we parked from the TripAdvisor award-winning restaurant Controra. It won this award not necessarily because of its views, but the combination of the view that you see here and a very renowned specialty sandwich that we are going to order for you. But I'll shut up for a couple seconds and let you just soak in the view. And normally we order a bunch of different stuff so you can see the options, but when you go to this restaurant, of course, you gotta get the octopus sandwich. So we did. Yummy. We did all three get that, and its reputation should be good, so we'll see if it applies. They also brought us this ambiguous fruit dessert, and it was free and delicious. So the service was also good, and our waitress was a big supporter of House Stark and was willing to let us photograph it, so you know I'm 2 thumbs up on that. You've been to this restaurant or this restaurant if you came here on a tour for a few hours. This restaurant right here is well known because it has wine tastings and other options, as you see here, like tasting and cooking classes that a lot of tours bring you here. But we didn't want to just spend a couple hours, we wanted to spend the whole day. So we ventured inside the town and were absolutely stunned by what we saw in context. Locorotondo is not a World Heritage Site, and we had never heard of it until we did deep research. This is their extremely small Wikipedia page, but why? This looks like Ostuni, which you've seen 1,000 times, including in our amazing video on it, but it's not, it's Locorotondo. You telling me that isn't a site for a bucket list? Look at these gardens. Every site below it as you go around the circle. And yes, more Trullis like they have in Alberobello is beautiful, and then you get to the inside and it stays beautiful. These, I want you to pay attention because these are beautiful, unedited, real photographs of our Lost in the Street stroll in Locorotondo. And the reason why I want you to pay attention to it is because of what is coming after this when we go to Alberobello. As you look at the baptistry that's beautiful where King Ezekiel baptized Shiva,
it pleases me to see you, old friend. It pleases him indeed, Jerry.
and also as you take advantage of this window to look down of the church of St. Rocca Crypt, you should be aware that these churches may not be famous and are certainly not as famous as the Trullis Church that we are going to see in Alberobello, but I think they're underrated. Let me know in the comments. The design on both of them, the ceiling, the dome, the cupola, the artwork, the only thing that's bad about these churches is my unsteady hand and this terrible camera work. There, of course, is the dedication to our departed Pope that is in every church, but I think that this has a lot to offer beyond that. This painting was the original form coming from the feudal lords of Martina Franca. And when you go between the churches, you're treated to some really beautiful streets, as you saw from our pictures before. And the streets are not all the same. They have various designs based on, I guess, the people who are there. The restaurants are tucked into these alleyways the way you want your restaurants to be. That bell tower with the clock. This is a thrift store with the best lamp holder I ever saw with that monkey. There's going to be a callback to that in our video later on Bobley Gardens. Leia bought a couple of things in there, and they were very friendly. All of the storefronts have their own character, including, this is the front. We already showed you inside of this church, but these are just the kind of things that you can enjoy while walking the streets. And take note of something else, which is they are not packed with people, probably because nobody has heard of it or seen this video yet. And from every different angle, you wonder why. Where are the crowds? Is this just a time where there's no tourists around because it's off season? This is the communal park where the day before they had a big thing with students who put up their own drawings. And of course, it's Locorotondo, so the park has a fantastic view. We're going to find out about the crowds the next day when we travel to Alberobello. This is a sign of independence and saying it's most important to not be controlled by others today. Angie really liked that sentiment. This is dedicated to the people that Locorotondo lost in the war, and this is the view that I spoke about from the park. It's every bit as good as the view from Contorno. We all agreed that Locorotondo destroyed our previous expectations, but could it compare with the bucket list champion of the world, Alberobello? Well, gentlemen, it is time to start your engines because we are headed to Alberobello after this view the next day, and we're going to start with the parking situation. There is free parking on Via Viterbo, and a lot of that free parking are parking lots of businesses there. This is supposed to be a free lot, but we got suspicious because of the blue lines, and we parked across the street at the hotel. These are the signs that can direct you to the various paid spots, and a little bit past the free parking was this parking, which is $3 an hour. This is the sign at the beginning telling you of all the sights you can see. This is the piazza behind the Centro Storico, which you see there, and the Trullis, which you see there on the other side. Most people begin their visit by climbing up onto the Storico and getting a panoramic view, this is ours that we took, of the historic UNESCO World Heritage Site, Trullis. Now you start to see the crowds, and Now I have to address something that you may have seen on social media. This guy is a tour guide. He promotes Alberobello, and so do they. Of course, it entices you to be able to get posts for your social media like this. That is gorgeous. You can see why they have won so many awards, but there is one thing. It's called editing software. What the? This is an actual unedited shot, and so is this. These are the kind of sights you're actually going to see in Alberobello. This guy was playing the guitar like in every crowded Italian city, and he was really good. Of course, he does volare like everything, and these kids really enjoyed it, and the mom gave him some money. But look up there at the crowds. We're going to take you in and show you some Trullis, but first we're going to show you one of the shops, because most of the Trullis are not residences. They have been converted to businesses. This business used to be this family's residency, and these liquors are made by the family, and it's a long family tradition. He is very friendly, and one of the things that differs with his business is that he only lets in 2 families at a time. And if you go in there, even if you don't buy something, you can head up onto the roof of what used to be his parents' house and look at the stone masonry involved in the Trullis. What's different about them is there's no concrete, there's no mortar. This is literally just rocks standing on top of each other and going up into what looks like a point, more of a teepee, and only when you look inside them do you realize that it's a dorm. I tried to get as close a view as possible for you without losing my focus, but that's one of the things that makes these unique. Then you get out on the streets, and this is what you're going to be facing in between these shots with these magnets and these trinkets. These signs are very interesting in the rear Trullis because they're supposed to ward off evil spirits. All kinds of different signs are on them, and what might be a fun thing to play if you're going with kids is trying to memorize them and then point them out when you get there for the pictures. Here's an explanation of the signs. There's a couple things. They fall into 3 different categories: primitive, Christian, and magic, but they're all serving the same purpose, which is to ward off evil spirits. And here is the list for you to try to memorize going into it. This is an old Trulli that hasn't been refurbished, and this is the church that was so famous and listed in why it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is the only original church that is built in a Trulli. When you go in there, you're going to go in there with a lot of people, and they whisk you through. You can't sit down and enjoy it, and it's nice, but compared to the churches in Locorotondo, I just don't think that it compares, especially this makeshift tribute to the Pope. So in the end, I will give the victory to Locorotondo. I would 100% return there. I'm not saying you shouldn't visit Alberobello. It's a bucket list thing. Don't remove it from your list, but don't plan on spending an entire day there. It's just not worth it. But I think Locorotondo could give 2 or 3 days pleasure, and so ding ding, I'm going to award it the championship. And speaking of battling, next week I will be taking a 1-week break from our Italy tours to play the main event at the World Series of Poker. So I hope you join us on that, and then as soon as that tournament is over, we will return to the Puglia region of Italy for more videos. So if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and we will see you every Saturday on the 4 Chains Travel.